centralized lighting around the clock. Traditionally, there were two options in low lighting. The first option was to use a camera with infrared light that rendered black and white images. The second option was supplemental lighting, which enabled the camera to capture details in color. Both of these solutions have their limitations. Infrared, or IR cameras, capture only black and white video with no color detail. And with supplemental lighting, keeping bright lights on throughout the night is inconvenient and sometimes restricted in certain areas. Now let me introduce a brand new solution to resolve these challenges. Hikvision's Smart Hybrid Light Camera with Color View. Hikvision's Smart Hybrid Lighting cameras with Color View feature an f1 super aperture and an advanced sensor to deliver excellent color imaging in ultra-low light. Compared to conventional cameras, this type of camera can render crisp, full-color images and videos under minimal lighting conditions, thanks to Hikvision Color View technology. These cameras also provide three types of lighting modes for image clarity under total darkness: infrared light mode, supplemental visible light mode, and a smart hybrid of the two. Here is how Hikvision Smart Hybrid Light cameras with Color View work in total darkness. In an IR mode, the camera auto-deploys the IR in darkness. In white supplemental mode, the visible light enables continual color imaging overnight. In smart mode, the camera maintains infrared illumination and triggers visible light upon detection of a person or vehicle. This is auto-enabled by Hikvision's AccuSense classified object detection. When the person or vehicle leave the area, the camera automatically switches back to IR light. By switching lighting intelligently, these cameras deliver details with maximum efficiency at every moment. When triggered, the visible light can also deter trespassers. Users can select the mode that best suits their requirements for darkness. It is easy to configure smart lighting functions with just one click by using a Hikvision NVR DVR, video management system, camera web GUI, or the mobile app. Hikvision's Smart Hybrid Light cameras with Color View are a powerful solution for video security monitoring every hour of day and night. To learn more about these cameras, follow the link below to our website. Thanks for joining me.
All right, so I hope it's a little bit more clear now of what Smart Hybrid Light camera can do. All right, so just to quickly recap on the what they are. So if we look at your day-to-day type of environments and so forth, we'll have daytime and nighttime and so on. So if we look at the nighttime situations, if you have a dark application, but there's still enough environmental light, the camera will be in colorful or in the color view type of mode. And then if you have a dark environment with poor environmental light conditions, you have the option of setting, one of the three options there. So you can either choose to keep it in IR mode, or you can use the smart mode, or you can use the white light mode. So white light mode, this is the default one that basically stays in color view with the white light on. But nowadays you can choose the smart mode, right? So the smart mode basically means that if it is the camera's in black and white mode at nighttime, and there's nothing happening, no person, no vehicle, no nothing like that, it'll stay in IR mode. Once a person or a vehicle appears in the image, either through motion detection 2.0 or line crossing or intrusion detection, the camera will switch over to color view with the white light on. And then once that person or vehicle exits the area, it'll go back to black and white mode. All right, so this helps for a few things. First of all, it keeps the camera concealed, so you don't have the white light on permanently, as was Greg mentioned in the video. And then some places you don't necessarily want that white light on because it sometimes gives away the position of the camera and so forth, or you are restricted to have these lights on permanently. All right, so you've got the option now with the Smart Hybrid Light cameras with color view. Okay, so more besides the key features of the color view and AccuSense intelligence and the Smart Hybrid Light, there's a couple of more things that we are bringing to the table. All right, so let's quickly have a look at the f1 Super Confocal lens. As I mentioned before, this is a proprietary Hikvision lens that we developed What does it mean? What does it do for you?
Demands for high-quality images in ultra-low light are rising. However, as the aperture becomes larger, it often results in image blurring, a common industry challenge. Hikvision solved the chromatic aberration problem with the f1.0 super confocal lens. Designed with micron-level precision, see the fundamental distinction between this lens and others. Unlike other lenses, where visible light and IR light fail to converge on the same focal plane, the f1.0 super confocal lens seamlessly aligns visible light and IR light focal planes, setting the standard for always sharp-focused images with enhanced details. Compared to other solutions, Hikvision's super confocal lens outperforms from inside, delivering more stable and clearer images. This is what makes Hikvision's smart hybrid light camera with color view stand out from the rest. It's a new-level camera that provides equally sharp imaging in both black and white and color, day and night.
All right, so that is basically what the f1.0 super confocal lens means. Just on that note, f1.0 is the size of the aperture. The smaller that number, the f1 number, the smaller the number, the wider the lens opening or the iris opening, which means the brighter the image. So we use this widely on our color view cameras. Now it's also in the smart hybrid light cameras. So much wider aperture. And what they mentioned with the aperture, as soon as the aperture goes larger, your depth of field or your focus plane will be lesser and lesser. So that caused the problem with focus issues at nighttime and so forth. So with this now, we have basically solved those issues. All right, so the smart hybrid light cameras, as we just mentioned, with color view, with LiveGuard as well. So LiveGuard meaning that we've got audible alarm with it. So regardless of the mode that the camera is in, either smart mode or IR mode or white light mode, you also have the audible option where you can play some notification over the speaker of the camera to use the camera as an edge deterrent device right there, along with either flashing the white light or just switching it on depending on the smart mode or not. All right, so the product showcase we've got, these cameras, we basically broke them up into two main parts, the fixed focal and the varifocal options over here. So the fixed focals means it's either 2.8 or a formal lens or something like this, different resolution options. And then the housing types with the fixed focals will be your small little bullets, your turret types, your larger bullets, as well as domes. And in the varifocal, we'll have the larger bullet options as well as dome options. These cameras are also available, or a lot of them available in the black version. So depending on the surrounding areas where you want to install this, maybe a black camera will work better for you. So again, also in fixed focal, in the mini bullet, the turret, as well as fixed focal in these options here, and then varifocal, we also have the larger dome and bullet available. All right, so upcoming, there's a few things that we have got up our sleeves, and now it's out. All right, so the first day-night PTRZ camera. All right, so the PTRZ camera, what does it basically mean? It's got motorization built in. Now, traditionally, when you set up a dome camera, you had to normally open up the camera to adjust the lens and things like that in the correct direction, etc., etc. And this causes a few problems. The problem with the first problem with that is it lets in dust into the housing itself, and it could possibly, when it gets put back, does not always seal 100%. It could then let in water, which creates a lot of problems. So now with the PTRZ camera, basically stands for pan, tilt, rotate, and zoom. So rotate meaning that if your camera is installed, the dome is installed, you can also rotate it like that. So it's got a 5-axis motorized structure, which is almost like a mini BTZ, if I can call it that, right? So 5 axes, you can turn it left, right, up, down, and rotate it. So basically, it's got this innovative motorized clutch type mechanism to have that ability to rotate it as well. And it also basically means you don't have to open up the camera anymore to do those adjustments. It's much quicker and easier just to sit in front of the PC and create or adjust the angles. Right, another upgrade, HDMI cameras. We used to have this in the higher end type of cameras, but now this is available in the entry level or the 2 series Easy IP cameras. So the Easy IP, the 2XX6 G2 option now has a direct HDMI output, typically used for your spot monitors and so forth. Normally when you enter a shopping center or a shop itself, where you basically see yourself, but we can also add some notification to either welcome customers or make them aware that they're being monitored and so forth. So it's got a built-in micro HDMI interface. The output on the HDMI is 1080p, and it also still has the audible, an alarm, and your IOs available on the camera. All right, next up, we've got the tandem view PTZs. There's a couple of new options there, and I'm going to explain them one by one. Right, so we're working in a 1, 2, 3, 4 principle, or a 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, and 4 principle. All right, so basically one device that's all in one. All right, so one camera to purchase with multiple camera benefits, one installation and one IP address to manage. All right, the second thing is 2 video channels. So we basically have the panoramic channel. So you'll see on top of the camera, we've got either a single or double lenses there. Double lens will be stitched automatically in the camera, giving you about 180-degree field of view. Plus you have the PTZ channel at the bottom where you can get more details, zooming in and so forth. Then we've got linkage modes. Linkage modes meaning that the 2 channels will speak to each other. So the first option is manual tracking, where you can select a target and the PTZ will follow this target, do object tracking on that. Then we've got linkage tracking, so that the top channel, let's call it the bullet channel, will detect something, let's say either with a line crossing or intrusion detection or so, and that'll trigger the PTZ to follow the object, but only within the viewing angle of the bullet. All right, and then we also have another option on some of the tandem view PTZs where the PTZ can do takeover tracking. So it'll track the object within the field of view of the bullet, but as soon as the person or vehicle exits the viewing angle of the bullet, the PTZ can still take over the tracking and carry on. All right, this includes 4 intelligent types, including your perimeter protection, facial recognition, ANPR, as well as traffic violations. All right, so the product family basically consists of 3 main series, which is the 4 inches, the 7-inch options, and the 8-inch options. Within those series, we've got the single lens bullet on top with a PTZ, dual lens PTZ, and so forth in each and every one of them. All right, so when you have the single lens, you'll get around about a 90-odd degrees, so between, let's say, 96 over there, 88.7 there, 89 there, so plus minus 90-ish. And then having the dual channel automatically already stitched in the camera will give you 180-degree plus minus field of view, except for this guy will be slightly wider than that, about 190 degrees. All right, so on the panoramic channel, which is the top channel we're talking about, or the bullet channel, if you will be available in a 2 megapixel, 4 megapixel, and up to 6 megapixel throughout the series. Also color view throughout, and then we'll have AccuSense options on some of them, and then the larger ones, the 8-inch ones, we've got your deep learning algorithms running there. The lens angles will be the vertical angle, the physical tilt angle of the top lens. Those are fixed on 18 degrees, 18, 15, and 15. But these 2 here are motorized, so you can slightly tilt them up and down between 7 and 17 on this version here, and 12 to 24 degrees tilting motorized option on that. The PTZ side, you'll have anything from a 15 times optical zoom all the way up to a 42 times optical zoom. And then the PTZ channels will include things like AccuSense and so forth, auto tracking 2.0 and auto tracking 3.0. All right, so those are the main differences between the tandem view PTZ product families. Right, so while this video is playing, I'm going to carry on speaking about this. So for the SE4C, which is the 4-inch, the small one, there's now a firmware update version 5.80. Turn this volume slightly down. All right. Firmware upgrade 5.8.0. All right. So this particular camera, what we want to make note here is that the PTZ will only do object tracking within the viewing angle of the bullet channel on top. Right. So it will not do takeover tracking. That's for the higher end versions. But we still get about 150-degree field of view if you combine the bullet channel with the PTZ channel. So it's extremely wide angle coverage. So that you get with the two lenses combined, or you can obviously, like you can see over here, does the object tracking and linkage between the two channels, so that when there's a vehicle or a person triggering one of your areas in the bullet channel, the PTZ will then do the tracking within the viewing angle of the bullet. All right. All right, next up are the PT cameras, all right? The PT cameras without the Z, which means they don't zoom. All right, so that's the main thing. These are much more cost-effective type of cameras. Normally indoors for your smaller areas and so forth, can still be used outdoors though. We do have outdoor options on them. But basically, this is what the PT family is about. All right, so we previously used to have the DE2C version, which will now be upgraded. So you'll see everything in yellow will be coming soon. Those are the upgrades coming. The red ones meaning that they have already been released. They're already available. All right, so in this option here, we will have two new exciting versions. So we'll have a 4G option as well as a Wi-Fi option. Those have already been released. Actually, well, that's next month. It will be released next month. This guy is already released. And also PoE, which makes it easier for a PT unit. It's quite rare to have them in a normal PoE version. But what's very exciting about this pager is that we will have the new DE2C XSC version. Right, this camera is an extremely hot new product. It's very, very cost effective, basically similar to a normal entry-level two-line camera, static camera. All right, now you'll have a PT version of this, either in 2 or 4 megapixel, and it'll have either a 2.8 or a 4mm lens, IP66, which means you can use them outdoors as well. A few more things that I'd like to highlight on this page here is the DE2C, the solar version of this, which will be released in April. It'll have a 10-watt solar panel with a 50-watt-hour battery, and it'll also have PIR and radar combination for the detection for the PT. All right, this will give you around about 2 days battery power on this solar version, and then we've got a 5-day version on this, a slightly bigger panel and battery and so forth. 4 megapixel, 4 and 6mm lenses, IP65, two-way audio, live guard built in, as well as I mentioned, the larger battery pack built in there. All right. Also, a nice thing, it's already got 64 gig eMMC storage built into the camera, so no need to add extra storage to that. And then we've got the IR version. So the IR versions we've got from the very small D2EA XIW camera. It's got a 4x optical zoom, 2 and 4 megapixel, built-in microphone, IK10, so vandal proof on that. The D3A, 4 megapixel, 4x optical zoom, also used for outdoors, two-way audio and live guard. And then we've got the tandem view version basically in this with a 2 or 4 megapixel 2.8mm lens, and then the PT head basically also optical zoom 2.8 to 12mm over there, or again with two-way audio and live guard, and then also the smart hybrid light function in there. All right, so just recapping on the D2EC cameras, the one that I just mentioned, the hot camera that I just mentioned on the previous page. All right, so it's got built-in smart hybrid light, which is fantastic. We've covered the smart hybrid light part, so I'm sure you understand what that means. Built-in two-way audio, so it's got a built-in speaker and microphone, so two-way audio comms over there, and it's got a 512 gig SD card slot, so you can slot up to a 512 gig SD card into this camera for local recording. The other nice thing upgrade about this is the all-in-one bracket. The all-in-one bracket, you don't have to wonder anymore about what type of bracket do I need for this camera to, if I go wall mount or ceiling mount, whatever, it is now all-in-one. All right, so let me quickly show you the unboxing and performance video.
Better outrun the officers.
All right, so that is actually kind of cool. All right, so let's carry on. All right, so the product showcase, as we mentioned, the DE2C series of cameras will be available in a Wi-Fi option and a 4G option soon. And it comes with an all-in-one bracket, I think, which makes it much easier for installation purposes. As we mentioned, the 2 and a 4 megapixel option, 2.8 and 4 millimeter lens options on it, pan tilt 0 to 345 degrees, which basically means you get a full 360 viewing angle with those lenses in mind there, and you're tilting from 0 to 80 degrees. Two-way audio, motion detection 2.0, which is based on human and vehicle, right? Actually, in this particular camera, the auto tracking is auto tracking light, which means that it'll follow humans only. Built-in microphone and speaker, so your two-way audio in there, smart hybrid light and IR and white light options. You've got your eConnect app control and that all-in-one bracket, as I mentioned. Outdoor is obviously available in IP66. All right, so the Spotlight Mini Tandem View, the SE3 cameras. So this one also has the, we call it the dual type of bracket, which will give you wall and ceiling mount options, all in one bracket. Built-in microphone and speaker, so again, two-way audio there. Smart hybrid light, panoramic channel will give you a 2.8 millimeter lens, and the varifocal lens is 2.8 to 12. So this will give you about a 200-degree viewing angle if you combine the 2.8 from that one to and the PDZ or the PT unit, but a 200-degree field of view. But also you can cover areas for up within 50 meters or so if you've got the camera zooming in all the way to 12 millimeters. All right, so you get basically panoramic and details with the two channels combined there, manual linkage, so you can select an object and it'll track that object. PoE, which is fantastic, and then also the two-way audio, as I mentioned. All right, so the fixed channel will be available in a 2 and a 4 megapixel lenses options, a 2.8 millimeter lenses there. Hybrid light, so it basically includes white light as well as IR. So the IR will reach about 30 meters. Your white light will also reach about 30 meters there. The PT channel, so the pan and tilting channel will be 2 and 4 megapixel options with a bit of zoom, so 2.8 to 12 millimeters there. And then the IR light built into this guy over here will reach about 40 meters. Panning from 0 to 350, and you're tilting from -5 to about 90. All right, motion detection 2.0 included in there, as well as the eConnect app functionality, as I mentioned before. All right, the Eco 4G solar powered PT camera. All right, so it's been a long time coming, I think. All right, so we've got the built-in PIR and radar functionality, as I mentioned before. 4G built into this, obviously all in one with the solar panels and brackets and all those kind of things. So 4G helps with the issue of infrastructure. The built-in mic and speaker helps with your two-way audio, so you can immediately deter people or whatever that doesn't need to be there. So the power consumption on the battery will give you on the 10-watt version. So there's a 10-watt version, as we can see from the model number. So a 10-watt version and a 20-watt version, right? So the 10-watt version will have a built-in 50-watt-hour battery. That'll give you about 36-hour continuous power use. On the 20-watt option, it'll have a 90-watt-hour battery. It'll give you about 72 hours of use. So that's about 4 days. So there's a lot of applications to use this. So it could be used for temporary application. We need to temporarily put up something, or you can have it in remote places where you do not have infrastructure like power or network and so forth. So fantastic for those uses as well. All right, next up, we've got the new generation eNVR and eDVR. All right, so what's new? This thing was just released last year sometime, so we've already upgraded them. So the new advantages of the new series, there's a couple of things that's still the same, like the embedded SSD technology. All right, so SSD is already built in your storage and so forth, but now the whole series will have removable eSSD, so you can easily maintain or upgrade your storage should you want to. Okay, easy setup and use. It's very small size, and it's plug and play. It's quite easy to use from the eDVR to the eNVR options. It's eco-friendly. It's very silent when it runs. There's no mechanical parts except for a little fan that is ultra or super quiet. And then the low power consumption, I will speak about a little bit later. And what's nice, there's a 3-year warranty on them. All right, so let's have a look at the new generation eNVR. All right, so first of all, we're going to talk about the 4 channels. We've got a 4-channel over there with either a 1 or a 2 terabyte storage already built in. We've got the same, but now with built-in PoE, right? Then we've got the 8-channel, 1 and 2 terabytes, and the same 8-channel with 1 or 2 terabytes with built-in PoE. All right. The next one is the eDVR. So the eDVR, this guy will come with already a 512 gigabyte storage built in, but removable or expandable if you want to. So you can take it out, put in a bigger one if you don't reach the time that you want to. This is the 8-channel. It ends with XB, right, or XD, right? So as I mentioned, the power consumption is extremely low on these ones, making it easier to quickly deploy. If you've got a pole somewhere with powered by solar panels and batteries, it'll use a lot less power. So much better in that regard. The 1 terabyte eDVR, we've got the 16-channel, 8-channel, 4-channel. In the first 3 over there, we are supporting motion detection 2.0, which is motion detection based on human and vehicle. And then on the other 3 over there, the 8, the 4, and this 4 here, just higher resolution on that guy, will support AccuSense functionality. As you can see with the model number, starts with IDS. On all 3 of them, we'll have AccuSense. So AccuSense more based on your line crossings and intrusion detection areas, where the first 3 over here is motion detection 2.0, human and vehicle, but based on motion. The nice thing about the eNVR and the eDVR series, it uses 80265 scene adaptive bitrate control, which means it adapts the bitrate according to what's happening in the scene, how much and what is happening in the scene. It'll adapt the bitrate, so you always get best video with the least amount of storage. All right, so then we also have the 2 terabyte eSSD eDVR. Again, 9.5 watts. This is for a 16-channel DVR. It's fantastic. The 8-channel and the 4-channel, 8.2 and 7.5 watts respectively, and the same kind of adaptive bitrate control. All right, next up is the K-series NVR, because we can't always just use the eNVR and eDVR. Sometimes we need to use the normal NVRs. So we've also upgraded this. I'm going to quickly explain what has been upgraded. So mainly 4 things. So this is a new firmware version 4.8.2. The series of NVRs is very, very popular. It's a 76 NXI-K1 and K2, as well as the 77 NXI-K4. So new functionality built into this, your smart search, so quickly retrieve human and vehicle targets. So that's the AccuSense part of it. Then we have an AccuSearch function, which is quite new, is very exciting. I'll explain this a little bit later. Then also IP speakers. So previously we used to have only very specific NVRs with customized firmwares that were compatible with our IP speaker range. Now you can use them on these NVRs with a dead standard baseline version 4.8.2 firmware. All right, and also the plugins for your browsers like Edge and Chrome and Safari and so forth. I will explain a little bit better, more on this in the next slide or two. All right, so first of all, the smart search helps you to reduce the searching time for specific targets and so forth, or specific incidents. What we can do is draw a rule box. So we can draw a rule box. In this case, you can see the box over there, and have the NVR do a smart search for movement only in these areas. You'll see whenever it detects, it'll show you in the recordings in red, and then you can choose to tick this button here that skips the normal video, skips the blue parts, and only plays back whenever detected human or vehicle, in those areas. So it helps a lot with eliminating time wasted, basically, when searching for objects. All right, so that's the smart search. Then we have the AccuSearch function. So the AccuSearch function, basically what it means in a nutshell is you click and select an object and then use the AccuSearch function. It'll then search across all channels for the same object of where this person or this object appeared. So this normally person and vehicle, because it's AccuSense, right? So it helps a lot with searching for specific objects. Again, not wasting any time playing through hours and hours of videos. All right, so this will be available on the case series NVRs with AccuSense 77 NXI K1 and 2, as well as a 77 NXI K4. What's important to note here is for this AccuSearch function is that your camera's dual VCA function just needs to be enabled. All right, so the dual VCA function, it's obviously only certain cameras that it has a dual VCA function. You need to enable it on the camera so that that camera and the NVR can work together to give you the results. All right, and then the other upgrade is for the IP speaker that's now compatible with the baseline firmware of the same NVRs. So the IP speakers can now be imported into the NVR similar to your cameras. That basically helps with your two-way audio comms, because the IP speaker also has built-in microphones. So for better perimeter protection, we can now trigger an audible message there, or the operator can then speak to the person having proper two-way audio with a microphone connected to your NVR. We can also do live broadcast. If you have multiples of the speakers, we can do live broadcasts to multiple speakers should you need to have, an emergency or something like that. All right, the no plugin live view and playback function is now available for Microsoft Edge version 91 or above. The same for Chrome version 91 or above, as well as Safari version 13 or above. All right, so what does it mean? You don't need to install any plugins or all those kind of things. It'll give you a decoding capability with this non-plugin live view and playback from between 4 and 8 channels at about 1080p resolution. So this is fantastic for us that wants to quickly set up a certain device, get it on our browser, and configure it. All right, that is it from my side. If there were any questions, I hope you put them in the chat or the Q&A boxes so we can get them answered.